My husband's girl best friend is pregnant and she says it's his. This whole entire story pissed me off from beginning to end, but let's get into it. So I met my husband, 25 male, while I was 22 female, and we hit it off instantly. He was the man of my dreams, and he took me on day nights and made sure I was loved and gave me big gifts every so often, telling me I was the only one for him. I believe this since we have been together for 4 years now, and I've never had any issues until he introduced his best friend, who we will call Laura for privacy reasons. I remember we had an argument because he didn't tell me about her for our whole relationship, and he had been sneaking to see her and hang out with her at parties when I was sleeping, believing that he was working overtime. I was hurt by this, and my first thought immediately went into infidelity, but I found all of their texts to be platonic after he willingly told me to look. I thought she was nice at first when I first met her, and she spoke to me politely and said how lucky I was for about a week until there was a get-together, and my husband invited me along because it was her mother's anniversary, and her family loved my husband because they had known each other since they were kids. I was okay with this and quite excited since I wanted to make more female friends and have girls' night out to relieve my work stress since my job is difficult and I make 6 figures. I should also mention my husband works in an office job that doesn't pay a lot, so I handle all of the house bills and chores while he's trying to get another job. I walked into the house with my husband and she ran to him happy, immediately wrapped her whole body around his arm and dragged him out to the garden. He didn't even come to get me or anything after being dragged away, so I went to the kitchen to ask for a drink, where I was greeted by Laura's mother. She's a lovely person who generally had a nice talk about our own lives, and she made sure I felt welcome. The whole time they were laughing, it seemed that everything he said was funny to her, and she kept rubbing his back, touching his arms, and saying how strong he had gotten, and she would look at me smugly. The breaking point of all of this was when I put a bit of meat onto my plate, and she said, "Are you really going to eat all of that?" And I froze in embarrassment while my husband and her laughed. Her mother stood up for me, saying that was inappropriate to treat guests with respect, but she ignored it. Laura is very pretty and slim and works out, so coming from her, it hurts a lot. I stood up from my chair and walked out the front door and called my dad. I told him to pick me up, and then I'll explain why in the car. When I got in the car, I broke down and told him everything. He said I was most likely overreacting, but the situation was very odd and that I'm welcome to stay with him for the time being. I thanked him and went back to our house. While I was getting comfortable, my phone flooded with messages from my husband and Laura. I read the messages to my horror. My husband was saying I ruined the whole dinner and that he was going to stay there for the night. I then read what Laura said, saying I had ruined her night because of my pick-me behavior. After doing research on that word, it's only filled me up with more anger. My husband came home around 5 p.m. from Laura's, and I immediately said leaving me and staying at another woman's house was disgusting, and he started shouting that I'm overreacting again and that I need to get counseling for my jealousy issues. For about a month, everything was going okay again. Apart from that, my husband got more distant and cold, and I could feel that our argument wedged a gap in our marriage, until I got a message from Laura this morning with a positive pregnancy result and a threat saying we should get divorced because it's my husband's. I don't know what to do, and I'm just venting because I feel awful and I feel like I failed as a wife. I don't know if I should confront my husband, and I'm thinking about it. Edit. I'm getting a lot of hate and death threats, so I'll create some allegations. I'm 26, not 22. I met my husband when I was 22. I've not comforted him because he's not home yet. I'm contemplating calling and asking there, but he's not replied to my good morning text since he woke up before me and went to work. My dad owns a company that works with the care homes. Not going to say a lot about it for my safety, and that's how I make my money. No, I wasn't earning 6 figures at 22, but I am now 26. No, my dad wasn't against me. He was just confused because I was crying to him and wasn't making a lot of sense, so he thought she was just being a bit touchy. No, Laura wasn't at our wedding, and I have doubts they are our childhood friends. I plan on messaging her mother to ask if they have known each other for as long as they say, and I'll be comforting my husband tomorrow when he gets home. I can't find it, but later in the update she said that it turned out that her husband has been lying to his female best friend, telling her that the wife has been abusing him financially and emotionally and physically, so she can sleep with him and he can divorce his wife so she can get her money, the wife's money. Basically, he was telling the best friend all sort of lies to make her believe that the husband was in an abusive situation. That's why she was acting like this towards OP. It was like a whole chaotic story, but if I do find the update, I will be including it in another video, inshallah. On to the next story. Am I wrong for telling my daughter she can say goodbye to the rest of her college fund? My daughter is 17 and applying for colleges. We have a college fund saved up for her that we've been adding to since she was an infant. It's a good sizable chunk of money, and a lot of donations from family have gone into it as well as her own savings occasionally. We have always made it clear that the money in there is for college only. She never had to put her savings in there. She has a separate savings account, but did anyway. But anyway, her girlfriend lives in Australia, and they are both insanely big Supernatural fans. They have both wanted to go to a convention for years, at least 5 years that I can remember. Two of the main guys are going to be at a convention in Australia. She begged me to let her go. I said no, but the con is set for after her 18th. I can't stop her if she pays for it. I assumed she would use her savings. I checked the college account to add some in and noticed a chunk of money missing. I went to speak to my daughter about it, and she admitted to using the money to pay for the convention. She bought herself plane tickets, her girlfriend plane tickets, other end of the country, both of their con tickets, as well as booking a hotel. The con is 3 or 4 days, but she's planning on staying for a couple of weeks and making a vacation out of it. All in all, she's taken about 10K. I lost it, honestly, demanding she cancel, which fell on deaf ears. I tried to cancel for her, but she won't be refunding everything, so I'm hesitant to do so. She insisted that it's her money and she can do what she likes with it, claims she still has enough for college, and this is once in a lifetime experience. I believe this has shown her extreme immaturity and inability to manage her future money. I am so incredibly angry that she would go and do this. I told her she could say goodbye to the rest of her college fund and have blocked the account. I am now only person with access. She says she'll pay it back, but seems unlikely. My wife thinks I'm being harsh and that she's right. She put at least 5K into the account herself, so she really only took 5K, which my mother-in-law has since said she'll pay back. I think this just teaches her she can pay her way out of messes. I was certain in my decision, but everyone is acting like I am the a-hole. She's a teenage girl and her entire life should have revolved around college. Am I still uncertain? I'm still uncertain, so here I am. Am I the a-hole? I mean, it's only 5K to be honest. Plus, this is a once a lifetime decision. You only do things like this when you're young and stuff. So as long as she has no more access to it, she's paying back the 5K that she took, or the 10K that she took into her account again. I wouldn't really have a problem with this. Am I wrong for abandoning my daughter on vacation?